Are you looking for all the answers about how to have a perfect marriage, how to be a perfect parent, and how to have the life that you always dreamed of? Well, then this probably isn't the podcast for you. I'm Angela, a mom of 8, and I convinced my husband to join me and co-host this podcast. We are going to talk about all things related to parenting, marriage, faith, and finances, and just have some real, raw, unfiltered conversations about all of those things. So grab your coffee, pop your earbuds in, and let's go.
I can't believe this is happening.
I feel like I've heard you say that before.
And we're off.
And we're off to the races. Hello, my friends. Welcome to our brand new podcast. I'm Angela.
And I'm Christopher.
You guys might know us from our YouTube channels, This Gathered Nest, and I have a lifestyle channel named after myself, Angela Braniff. We upload a ton of videos over there, quite frankly, a ton of videos, family vlogs, all kinds of different videos, but we really wanted a place where we could just sit down and chat with y'all about everything from like our marriage and relationships and navigating. If you don't know anything about us, we have 8 children. We're those people, which brings us to the title of this podcast. Well, that escalated quickly. And that title came to me one morning. I was laying in bed and we had another title for this podcast. I don't even remember what it was at this point, but we had another title for this podcast, which we thought was kind of funny. And I was just laying there. I was like, that's not it. That's not it. What is it? Like, what really sums up our life? Because it is kind of crazy and different. And, you know, when we look back to, you know, sort of being this traditional high school sweethearts and you worked for a bank and I was a stay-at-home mom of 2. And like, we really kind of fit into the norms, the societal norms and stuff. And now it's a little bit different. And so it's just funny when we looked back, I was just like, I mean, that escalated quickly. Like I couldn't have predicted this.
That's
As
right.
Clark Griswold says, if I would have woken up with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised. And that's basically the story of our life.
And that was just too long to call our podcast. We couldn't use that.
Right. Right. Head sewn to the carpet podcast or something of
No,
that
it's perfect.
nature.
I remember you telling me, I remember you saying it. I was cooking breakfast and I was like, that's it. That's perfect.
Yep.
So
it
here
felt
we are.
right. It felt right to us because pretty much everything in our life has come at us in a very unexpected way. And we've just learned to kind of embrace it and roll with the punches. You know, we really want to go a little bit more behind the scenes of our relationship, how having 8 kids and different adoption scenarios and secondary infertility and CR transitioning to being a stay-at-home dad, which by the way, his name is Christopher and we shorten it to CR. So I am not calling him Ciara, Sierra, or any of the above.
Let's just get that out of the way right
I
now.
usually call you Christopher most of the time, but he goes by CR, the letters. So there you have it. So Christopher becoming a stay-at-home dad and just a big role reversal for our family. So how has that affected our relationship? And of course, other topics just about parenting in general. We are raising kids who are, you know, babies all the way up to teenagers now. And so, you know, we're kind of going through this struggle of like this level of tiredness that we've never known because we're like emotionally tired from raising teens and physically tired from having 3 under 3.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, so it's like, so we want to talk about like how we're getting through that stuff, how we manage, how we take care of our relationship through those things. But as you well know, that just because you have children doesn't mean that there's not other facets to your life or your personality or things that you love or are interested in. So we want to talk about those things too, like who we are and things that we love and things we're interested in outside of our family and our children as well.
So, but we also have a mantra, you and I.
We do. We have a little mantra.
What's our mantra?
Do you want to share our mantra or our family's mantra?
Let's go with the families.
Okay. The other's not appropriate for this. Our family's mantra. Why don't you share our family's mantra since I have talked so much?
I think, we came to this conclusion a few years ago and was like, you know what, this is perfect. Moving forward, we want to make sure that this is something that we prioritize with big life decisions.
And we live by.
And we live by, right. And it is just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. Because there are certainly elements of our life right now that from the outside looking in seem pretty difficult to manage.
Well,
Right.
from the inside, I will also attest to the fact that they are
And
hard.
and that's my thing is they are like the realities of having 8 children with a very wide range of ages, transracial adoption, special needs adoption. There's a lot going on there. Our dynamic within our relationship with kind of the role reversal. I'm using air quotes here that you guys can't see. And what that looks like for you and I and how we, kind of work through our marriage. So there's a lot going on there. And then we live in a day and age right now where it's just chaos, in my opinion. Like culturally, we're very polarized as a nation. So there's just a lot of noise, and we're trying to stay the course with living a fulfilling, faithful life in a way that we feel is founded on truth and honesty and love, and navigating that is hard, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
Exactly. So that's kind of one of our little family mantras. We have a few. We'll share them with you as we kind of get through this podcast and dig a little deeper. But that hopefully will give you some ideas of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But we are absolutely open to suggestions from y'all about things that you want to hear from us, topics you want to hear us talk about. If you are not following us, we have our personal Instagrams where you can find us, and those will be linked in the show notes. But we also have an Instagram account for this podcast. And there we're going to be sharing a lot of behind the scenes stuff about the podcast. But that's also where we're going to come to you guys and say, hey, listen, we want to talk about this. What are your questions? We want to do an episode about this aspect of parenting or marriage or, faith or, whatever it may be. What are your questions? So you are definitely going to want to go over there and follow us on Instagram so you can be a part of those conversations.
We want to get to know you guys as well. I mean, it's really important, I think, when we're building communities like this is understanding, the trials and tribulations of the people that are listening to us. And so being able to converse with you guys and, hear those out and implement some suggestions, that's valuable for us too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can feel like a one-way street sometimes just sitting here talking at you guys about something. And we don't want to do that. We want y'all to be a part of the conversation as much as possible. So showing up over there on Instagram, chatting with us and, pre-show, post-show will be, I think, really helpful and fun too. I mean, we're fun. We're fun people. If I have to tell you that, it might seem less true, but it is true.
So we've got our first few episode topics already in the hopper, and you guys, you're going to want to be back for them.
Yeah.
Like, we're coming out the gates hot.
When we talked about doing this podcast, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Let's just have a moment of honesty here because why not? I was really hesitant to do this podcast with my husband.
I make you nervous.
No, it's not that. It's that you and I disagree on a handful of things.
This is true. Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe it's a good thing. It speaks to the intimacy of our relationship, but we will throw down about stuff. We will go toe to toe over things that we disagree on. Mm-hmm. And there are definitely times that we are, within our, it's like, how do I say this? That we,
let's just say I've had to file formal complaints with the authorities.
That's not true.
Just joking.
That we really verbally wrestle it out.
We are passionate people.
We're very passionate people.
Who have very strong convictions.
Yes.
They are founded in the same things. Intent is very important, but in some cases, interpretation may lead us in different ways,
or how we express that belief looks different to us.
That's right. And so it doesn't mean we're malicious. It doesn't mean I think poorly of my wife or she thinks poorly of me.
With that said, I was a little hesitant to do this podcast with him because I thought, well, especially when I came to him and said, listen, the plan had been all this time that I was going to do a podcast by myself. And I recorded 4 episodes. And as I was editing them, I was honestly just I don't want to listen to my own voice for 45 minutes. I can't do it. I need to be in
I'm just joking.
So as I was editing those episodes, I was just I cannot. And I was I need a co-host. I need somebody to do this with me. I want to have conversations with people. We may eventually have guests on this show. If there's especially a topic that really warrants it and somebody that we really admire or respect or inspires us that we feel like would be a great voice in the conversation, we're absolutely open to having guests on the show. So that may happen at some point. I just knew that I wanted a co-host, somebody to do this with me. Yeah. And so I thought, well, who could I ask that can't say no to me, that I can force to do whatever I want? But I was like, who would be it would be, I kept thinking that it would be so natural for us to do a podcast together. But it just kept coming back into my mind that like, dear Lord, sometimes we fight like cats and dogs and I don't know how it's going to work out. So I approached you. I came inside and I said to you, I'm editing my podcast and I can't stand it. I don't want to do it. I really need a co-host. And then I kind of did the lady thing or I don't know, maybe I'm the only lady that does this, but where you suggest something as a joke, but you really mean it seriously to see how they'll respond. And so I said like, I just wish that like there was some way that you and I could a podcast together.
And you're like, what did you say?
Well, he's like, oh yeah, we totally could. And I said,
in the typical overconfident manly fashion, which
you were like, oh, we totally could make that happen. And I was like, well, I said, all right, I want you to list for me 20 episode ideas. What would we talk about? Give me 20 episode ideas.
I said, okay, give me 30 minutes.
Yeah, he goes, give me 30 minutes. And I was like, you're so full of it. You're not going to come up with 20 episodes in 30 minutes. Like 25 minutes later, he comes back and he's got all these ideas. And a couple of them, I was like, yeah, I already thought of that. But then he came up with some other ones. And I was like, oh, that's good. Well, I like that. Oh, that's real good. I like that a lot.
She didn't say the words, you're right.
Well, I couldn't admit
exactly.
that. We sat down and we're like, okay, let's really plan out some episodes. And as we got to talking and like our powers combined, Captain Planet, we came up with some really great episode ideas.
Can I be Earth?
No.
Wind? Mm-hmm. You're fire.
Yeah, you're kind of a lot of wind. a bag of hot air. You are your own hot air balloon.
You're not heart.
Sorry. Is there a female in Captain Planet?
There is.
What is she? You don't even know. Look
I don't know.
Sad cartoon.
Pain.
I don't think I was allowed to watch that show when I was a kid because my parents said it was environmentalist propaganda. It was like all about recycling and stuff. I didn't say that I said it was that. I said that my parents said it was that.
Oh,
anyway,
they should bring back Captain Planet. Sorry.
They should. We could do a whole episode about cartoons they should bring back. But so we really sat down and came up with all of these different episode ideas. We feel like we came up with some really incredible episodes that you guys are going to love. Like I said, all different topics that we're going to talk about.
Where's all the men? We're going to talk about fatherhood. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about men's role in society today and how it's viewed, and in my opinion, how it should be viewed.
Fatherhood, yeah. You're not a babysitter, are you?
No, I'm not.
Good thing, because I don't want to have to pay you. Also, we're going to talk about finances, sharing money, making big financial decisions. Maybe one person wants to spend a lot of money on something that you don't. Yeah, Traeger grill. Of course, we're going to have some lighthearted episodes in there talking about some pet peeves. I actually have a list going on my phone because when you brought up that topic, I was like, oh, let me write down all the things you do that annoy me.
You started a list?
I started a list. It was easy.
Did your memory run out on your phone?
Storage space did. We're going to talk about our best and worst financial decisions.
Ooh.
Talk about the journey of secondary infertility, what that was like, from your perspective too.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. So there's so many things that we want to talk about: family planning, birth control, pornography, like how we handle that within our marriage and for our children, addictions, past struggles that you and I have had with addictions, the beginning of our marriage. That was rocky.
Leadership. Yep. In our marriage.
And sort of even now, like what we do for work, and CR leaving this sort of safety net of like this 9-to-5 job and being entrepreneurs. And, do we think that everyone should quit their job to chase their dreams, quote unquote, we want to really dive into some of those topics. So I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to have a good time. Hopefully that wets your whistle a little bit, gives you an idea of what's to come. We definitely want to see you back here. The first episode will launch Wednesday, April 1st. It is April Fool's Day, but this is not a joke. It's for real skis. First episode will be up then. We are so excited. It's going to be so much fun. So go find us on Instagram.
Or YouTube.
Yes. And as you guys are listening to episodes, listen. As you're listening to episodes, I tell you to listen like you're not already listening. Just keep listening. How about that? Leave us 5-star reviews. Okay. They matter a lot. And you might think, really, it takes extra time, but we appreciate it. And it really means so much to us. They really love to see those reviews. It means people are listening, they're liking, and it just helps to get your podcast into the ears of more people. So we would greatly appreciate you sharing. And don't forget that these podcast episodes are also being uploaded on YouTube. If you're a YouTube lover like we are, you do also have the option to listen there. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So I hope that y'all are as excited as we are to finally be getting this podcast off the ground. We hope that we will entertain you a little bit, maybe encourage you. I don't know about inspire, but at the very least, commiserate or something. So it will be fun. We're going to have fun together. That's the bottom line. We're going to have fun together. So
let's do this.
Stick around.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.